Can General Motors really knock off Tesla? They think they can. Vinfast is getting the approval to make vehicles here in North America. Tesla is firing people who wanted to unionize due to their shady business practices, and Tesla has a massive recall. And lastly, we'll go over the pricing of the all-new Genesis GV70 built in America. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Kirky Cars. If you enjoy electrified industry news, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you think this is interesting. General Motors not only plans to lead legacy OEMs in 2023 with 7 Ultium-based EVs, they also think they can overtake Tesla. That's their goal anyways. At the Wolf Global Auto Tech, and Auto Consumer Conference on Thursday, GM's CEO Mary Barra says the company has a strong year ahead, saying we are different from the rest of the traditional OEMs, and this is really going to be our year to demonstrate it. Well, of course you're different. Every company's different. What do you mean by being different? Barra continues to explain how GM's recent transformation investments will give it an advantage as it looks to lead rivals this year and move closer to overtaking Tesla, something she has reiterated in the past. She's sticking to her guns here. Now, Mary Barra is saying one of their major advantages is their scalable Ultium platform that GM started building and developing in 2018. So she's saying that Ultium can scale to a small compact vehicle all the way to a commercial vehicle like the BrightDrop van. That sounds amazing, but I feel like wouldn't the character identity of the vehicle suffer at that point? I'd have to drive and test out all these vehicles to see if they actually do feel like different sizes of the same shoe. And according to Mary Barra, the company will have 7 EVs of all different sizes and segments on this Ultium platform by the end of 2023. In addition to what we already have with the Bolt EV and EUV. So the 7 additional vehicles are the new Blazer EV, which the Honda Prologue will be based off of. Well, I believe it's also built in Mexico at the Ramos Arizpe plant. Okay, let's keep going. Chevy Equinox, which could be built down in Mexico too. Chevy Silverado EV, Cadillac Lyriq, which is built in the Spring Hill, Tennessee plant, GMC Hummer EV, and GMC Hummer Okay, so the Hummer pickup and Hummer SUV. So the Lyriq actually went on sale at the end of 2022. It sold less than like 200 units, though. They just haven't been able to scale up volume for that car yet. Barra said for GM to promote EVs, will need to offer them in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Well, only the Equinox is really in that range on this list. That said, the upcoming Equinox EV is slated to start around $30,000. The Blazer has an estimated, the Blazer starts at $45,000. And of course, you'll have the SS variant with like over 500 horsepower. Where's GM getting their batteries? Well, they've had a joint venture with LG for 3 plants, and they're looking outside of LG for their 4th plant because LG doesn't seem to want to work with them that exclusively. One battery plant is already online in Warren, Ohio with 35 gigawatt hours annual capacity, and another 2 in Spring Hill, Tennessee and Lansing, Michigan are planned. And a 4th is planned as well, but we don't know the supplier quite yet, if I remember correctly. Altogether, GM expects to have 130 gigawatt hours EV battery capacity when the 3 battery plants are fully operational. That won't be in 2023. That'll probably be in the later half of the 2020s. Also, GM struck a deal with Global Foundries, and this is going to give them more stable supply for microchips in the coming years. Also, profitability isn't great right now, but GM says they'll need to keep driving battery costs down to achieve a 20% margin on a $40,000 EV. Now, 20% margin. Now, when we look up average profitability, 7.5% seems to be the standard for margins on new vehicles. And Mary Barra here is saying they're looking for a 20% margin on a $40,000 EV. So EVs are all about making more money for these companies. If it wasn't there, they wouldn't be doing it. Now, you could say governments are forcing it. That's a part of it. But I also think that there would be way more resistance to it if there wasn't money involved, or at least more money involved than what they're currently making. They require less parts, they require less labor to assemble. And let me know down below if you think Tesla will ever be beat out by General Motors in terms of volume EVs. I think it's possible, but it's probably like a decade away, if ever. Okay, so let's keep moving. Vinfast gets permit to start construction on US factory. So they've been kind of stuck in purgatory with this plant in North Carolina. Fine, it was actually supposed to start production like September of 2022, and now it looks like they're going to be able to start production of this plant, not cars, as soon as 2024. And once this $4 billion assembly plant is online producing Vietnamese VinFast cars made in America, they will qualify for the EV tax credit to some degree just because they're built here. So they've been awarded an air permit. They still need other permits from their North Carolina county and Chatham County. And phase one of the project includes a $2 billion investment in a factory capable of producing 150,000 electric vehicles per year. And the second phase will focus on battery production. The full $7,500 tax credit probably won't come online until many years from now, because I'm assuming their batteries are not going to be sourced from North America or free trade countries with North America. Last week, I made a video saying I don't think VinFast is long for the world, at least here in North America. The plant's still not going to be making vehicles until maybe the end of 2024. So I'm not getting my hopes up for VinFast, even though they have one permit in the bag so they can start building. All right, Tesla is recalling over 360,000 US vehicles over full self-driving. By the time you're watching this, this could be very old news for you. This is a couple days old at this point. Tesla's just going to fix this with an over-the-air update. There's no like crashes or deaths involved with this recall, at least that Tesla's aware of. But it covers a bunch of Model S's, Model X's, Model 3s, and Model Ys equipped with full self-driving software. Allows the Tesla vehicles to exceed speed limits or travel through intersections in an unlawful and unpredictable manner, increasing the risk of a crash. They'll fix that. I'm not really worried about it. This one is a little bit more worrying because if you are an employee for Tesla, this means you just have no voice whatsoever, it seems like, because Tesla fires dozens in response to new union campaign. Tesla fired autopilot workers Wednesday at its Buffalo, New York plant, a day after employees announced the campaign to unionize. Arian Barrick, one of the organizers, was among those terminated Wednesday, according to the union's filing. He says he feels blindsided. I got COVID and was out of the office. Then I had to take a bereavement leave. I returned to work and was told I was exceeding expectations. And then Wednesday came along. So if you're watching this, you work for Tesla, have worked for Tesla, or you know people who have worked for Tesla or do work for Tesla, let me know what your experiences have been. What are your stories? I want to know, because this is concerning. Tesla just laying off people that disagree with them in any sort of way, it seems like. Anyways, Genesis electrified GV70 price starts at $66,975. It will be the first Genesis model assembled in the US. It will qualify for the EV tax credit. The more expensive flavor costs $72,650. One of the more interesting things for me is that it's actually getting the same battery as, or sure, the same battery size anyways, as the GV60 and the Ioniq 5. And this is going to be a larger, heavier, less aerodynamic vehicle than those, and so we'll get less range as well. But it does have a ton of horsepower and torque with the boost mode, just like the GV60, for example. I really like the GV70. I actually like the 2.5 liter turbo a little bit more than the V6. I think it just provides plenty of performance and a good value. It's just unfortunate that this isn't getting the larger battery from the electrified G80s. So if we go to my EV spreadsheet, I've updated this here. Now, compared to its competition, it seems to be fairly affordable. $67,000 is where it's starting. Tops at around $73,000, $74,000. It is cheaper than the Genesis G80 EV, which is one of my favorite EVs. The seat is a little bit higher. The battery, it forces the floor to be a bit higher than this. So if you're taller, it's not the greatest, but I can forgive it for that because I really enjoyed just about everything else about the vehicle here. But it has a much larger battery pack, and I was able to get really good efficiency out of the Genesis G80 EV. And I would say it's worth a few more $1,000s over the GV70 EV. They're both all-wheel drive. You're going to get a lot more range here. Is the GV70 maybe a hair faster? Yeah, but here's the thing, the G80 does 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So that's not really that big of a deal compared to the low fours that I'm expecting for the GV70. And then you have the GV60, which, it's $60,000 is a good deal, I guess, but it's the same performance and range, etc., as an Ioniq 5. And I actually like the Ioniq 5 interior better than the GV60. So I think the Genesis products are going to be interesting because their mass market brand EVs are already so good. So it will be very interesting to see how successful they are, because they plan to be fully electric by 2025. We have the Lexus RZ, which I will be driving in just a few weeks, at a hefty $60,000 to $65,000, and it only has 220 miles of range on the smaller wheels. I think they're 18-inch wheels. So if you want the 20-inch wheels, your range is going to dip below 200 miles here, and it's not slow at 5.2 seconds. But everyone else on this list on the luxury segment is pretty much faster. Maybe not the Cadillac Lyriq with the rear wheel drive setup, but the all-wheel drive setup is definitely faster. The only way I'd be getting a GV70 over a G80 or like Ioniq 5 is because of the EV tax credit. No other Korean EV is made here stateside. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and peace.